Pictures of Shimano's latest group set have apparently leaked online. So an unreleased drop bar version of Shimano cubes was spotted in photos shared by Cube Bikes.
Cubes. Shimano cubes.
What did I say?
Cubes. Shared by Cubes Bikes.
Sorry, Shimano cues, not cubes.
So Shimano Qs was spotted online in photos shared by Cube Bikes.
The group set is rumoured for release in early 2025, but Shimano haven't yet given any details about it. However, Cube has allegedly let slip early, sharing photos of their 2025 New Road Pro, which features the new Qs. The pictures were spotted by Bike Radar, and the press were calling this a leak, but it's hard to know whether this was actually an intentional strategy by Shimano or Cube to get people talking about them. Cube and Qs is very similar, isn't it? Like
Shimano Cube.
Shimano Cubes.
Cubano shoes.
Either way, we now know that there is going to be a drop bar version of Qs and what it probably looks like.
Probably looks like the flat bar one.
So what actually is Qs? Basically, it's Shimano's latest cross-compatible system of 9, 10, and 11 speed components designed to replace every group set below 105. I originally thought that Qs was going to be one group set, but looking into it, it actually looks like it's absolutely massive. There's, funnily enough, I messaged Jonathan, who's the PR guy for Shimano, this morning as I was trying to work out how many mechs there are. We believe, because he's not 100% certain as well, in the current range, which doesn't have a drop bar shifter, there's 11 rear mechs. No, 10 rear mechs.
Why is the PR man for Shimano not sure?
Well, he doesn't need to know.
There's just that many mechs.
He's basically looked through it. He's actually listed all of the codes and everything.
No one knows.
But it's interesting. So there's 9 speed, 10 speed, 11 speed. It even has a Di2 version of it as well. So it's really interesting to see what happens to this when the drop bar shifter does come out. The range is across, as far as I can tell, all types of bikes. So there's gear ratios and setups which will accommodate a mountain bike, and then it goes all the way to a race bike as well if you want it, to a drop bar race bike. E-bikes, gravel bikes, the absolute works seems to be covered by Qs. They did initially launch Qs in 2023, but as we know, it was a flat bar version of it for hybrids and e-bikes. So what can we actually see in these pictures? The shifters seem to resemble the shape of the older Ultegra /105 shifters, so the ones from about 5 or 6 years ago, which are a bit bulkier but work perfectly well. We all use them for quite some time and have never had any issues with them. It's got hydraulic brake levers, which seems to fill a gap in the range for a hydraulic brake that is, I guess, more cost effective. I don't know what the correct term for that is. A cheaper version of hydraulic brakes. The rear derailleur that's on the Cube bike has already been released, which reinforces the idea that this is all going to be cross-compatible. The Q's CS LG400 cassette is an 1150 cassette, which is absolutely massive. That is like basically a mountain bike cassette. So it really does feel like this range is going to cover, well, everything you could possibly want to do with a bike. What does this mean for the bike industry and the entry-level market as a whole? What are we thinking?
Overall, a good thing. SRAM has put their focus into performance. Yes, it trickles down from SRAM Red, but only so far. Apex is still a performance level group set, isn't it?
It's expensive, yes.
It's pretty expensive and it's pretty nice. Whereas Shimano are putting a lot of thought into this, and I think it's going to make things affordable.
The reason I think this is actually really good is currently it feels, and I think there's a lot of consumer psychology in this space, in that if you don't get 105, it sometimes feels like it's rubbish or it's budget or it's not very good. And we talk a lot about some group sets that are officially below 105 that are actually really good, but there is this perception that they're not. So I think this is actually a really good branding exercise for Shimano, in that they are ditching multiple group sets which people perhaps don't have a great love for, bringing in something else under a different name that just kind of brings it all together.
Gets rid of the stigma
Perhaps.
attached to the other group sets.
And I think it is going to be really good because it's probably based on trickle-down technology. So these are group sets that many of us will have been riding 5 years ago, which we know are mint. I think this is really, really, really good for the industry. And I think it's really, really good for cyclists and us that like to ride bikes. The only scenario where I think this is not going to be good is if they actually start hiking the prices up on it. But I think that would be, I can't imagine they're going to do that. They know they've got their 105, which is their premium, but more accessible, like proper racing group set. And they've got their GRX. This has to be coming in at a really, really, really achievable price point, surely.
So we know the price on this Cube New Road Pro. It's a gravel bike, right?
Yeah.
It's £1,200, carbon fork, 11-speed shifting, hydraulic brakes.
Alloy frame, definitely alloy frame.
Yeah, one buy. Does that seem like good value?
Yeah, it's obviously it's still a lot of money. The bike looks like a good bike. If I'm perfectly honest, looking at the pictures of it, it reminds me of the Scott gravel bike that we have in the studio that you bought from Scott that was £1,900.
That it was £1,800. You're right. That Scott came with the lowest level of GRX, which is the one that's equivalent to 105.
Yeah, so technically had a better group set, marginally better. It looks very similar. I think that's going to be a good price for that bike.
That's a good value bike. Considering the Specialized Alley right now is £1,000 and you get Claris on it.
Do you?
Yeah.
What calipers does it have?
Like third-party Tektro ones or something.
Hydraulic?
No.
Okay. So then this Cube is
Very good value.
much, obviously they're not directly comparable,
Yeah.
but because that's a road bike.
Yeah, it's a road bike, yeah.
But that suggests that this bike is a lot better value than that.
That's really good value. People always talk about, we've never featured Cubes in person on the channel. And everyone's like, oh, you probably should, like, they're really good value. So
Yeah, they do appear to be good value.
one day, I will ride one.
Well, we should work out how we can get hold of them.
But it goes back to what you were saying, Jimmy, about the consumer psychology, because as soon as Francis said to me, £1,000 Alley and it's got Claris on, you're like, what? It's those names, Claris, Sora, Tiagra, they have a reputation. You know how everything gets incrementally better, and now 105 is meant to be like premium, right? Whereas I think we think back to a time when 105 was like mid-range at best, and all of the other ones were very, very much in entry level.
What I'm hoping is going to come from this is that the price point on these group sets is going to be low, and it is going to enable the bike manufacturers to start bringing in entry-level bikes that are actually spec'd really well in the 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 pound. Like, bring back good actual entry-level bikes again.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that this group set is one of the catalysts for that being able to happen.
It would be good. It would be a great thing for consumers. It would be a good thing for the industry because it's so stagnant, and we're seeing a downturn at the moment. There needs to be some better value.
Agreed.
Hopefully it keeps going in the same direction. In that I recently was researching for a video the first proper road bike that I bought. Proper road bike. A Trek 1.2. And it was 2009. It came with Sora. And I was comparing that to the modern day equivalent. And the group set, despite being 2 rungs lower, is significantly better on the more modern bike. So that it just shows how, like that. It had Sora on it, the 2009 bike, and it had buttons that you couldn't reach on the drops, and it was really clunky, and it was a triple, and it was just unnecessarily complicated and just not good to this day standard. So hopefully this will be another jump, because we've had the latest Claris has been around for a long time now. So hopefully there'll be another upgrade with a price that reflects it.
Downgrade in price.
A downgrade in price. Price upgrade. Well, it's always a shock to people, isn't it? Because inflation means that things seem more expensive than they are.
Correct. That is what it
People don't always take that into
ultimately,
account when they're looking at the prices.